This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
He was 18 years old, just a kid. He was a freshman at Loyola of Chicago, just 6-7 months into her college career. She was from New York, outside the city, but went to Chicago because she loved the city. She made friends. She was with a few friends on the last night of her life. Went for a walk. It was a nice night. It was just after 1 a.m. They walked along the pier. They were hoping to see the northern lights or look up at the stars. Must have been beautiful. Must have been just an amazing night for Sheridan Gorman. That's her name. You should say it. You should know it. You should make sure no one forgets it, because Sheridan Gorman was murdered that night, last Saturday night in Chicago. And it didn't have to happen. She didn't have to die. We don't have to live like this. This is an outrage. This is inexcusable. Sheridan Gorman was murdered by an illegal alien who was brought into this country by Joe Biden and kept in this country by Democrats in Illinois, in Chicago. J.B. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas killed Sheridan Gorman. They killed her. They are accomplices. They have blood on their hands. There is no other way to see this. It is disgusting. It is nauseating. It is sickening. And the murder by this piece of human garbage was entirely preventable. And I'm so sick of us discussing this and couching this and qualifying this and pretending it's of anything other than the result of Democrat policies, the result of open borders, the result of Democrats who want people like this vermin in the country as a political strategy in hopes that he will vote for them. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. Why is everyone not outraged by this? I understand if you don't like Trump, if you don't like Republicans, if you're a Democrat, but do you really want to go there? Is that really okay with you, that your party will import people like this from Venezuela, the worst of the worst, murderers, scumbags, low-life pieces of shit like this? That's what you want? You want this in hopes that he will help you win an election? Is that how low you have gone? Is that the depths to which you will sink, that you will sacrifice the life of an 18-year-old college kid just out for a walk with her friends, and she is dead, her life is over, her family is ruined, because maybe, possibly, someday, Jose Medina will vote for you? Are you really that cynical? Are you really that cruel and callous and ruthless and soulless that you will say, we're going to bring in some criminals, we're going to bring in gangbangers and murderers, but maybe they'll vote for us? This is so disgusting, and it is the murder is outrage, is infuriating. There's no question about it. But there are a lot of murders. You hear Democrats say that, Americans kill people too. Well, those are Americans. They're here. We can't do anything about that. This guy was brought here. He was imported by Joe Biden. He was protected by J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. And a college student who is just 18 years old is dead. Another innocent American dead because of a political strategy. Let's import people and hopefully we'll get them on a path to citizenship and we'll get them amnesty. and they'll vote for us. This should be the biggest story in the country. It is not, of course. I spent the morning watching CNN and MSNBC and flipping around at the networks, waiting for a mention of this, waiting for an update. Nothing. This problem is so widespread. You have the whole Democrat Party, half the country, that doesn't give a damn about Sheridan Gorman, doesn't give a damn about the more than 1,000 Americans who have lost their lives at the hands of illegal aliens in the last 5 years. They don't care. And then you have the Democrat Party, you have the mayor, the governor, the aldermen, and then the media, the mainstream media, who don't want to touch this, who don't want to go there because it might help Trump. It might help the GOP. So let's just ignore the poor 18-year-old kid out for a walk with her friends at night looking up at the stars, and this scumbag, this absolute piece of human crap, hiding out wearing black, has his mask on, has a gun, jumps out, startles these women. They run, and he shoots this poor kid in the back of the head, dead. And what does the governor do? Nothing. Ignores it for 4 days. What does the mayor do? Oh, he blames racism. He says we can't imprison our way out of crime. Oh, really? So you mean if we put this thing in prison, she wouldn't be alive today? Yes, she would. You killed her. Brandon Johnson, J.B. Pritzker, you killed her. Joe Biden, you killed her. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me the flaw in that argument. Why is it wrong to say they are accomplices to this murder? It is so beyond infuriating at this point when you see something like this and you say, that's just the way it is. Crime happens. Things happen. Like Ilhan Omar said, someone did something about 9/11. That's the Democrat approach to this. Someone did something. And what do Democrats do in reaction to this? They double down. The focus of the party is protecting people like this. Medina, that's his name. Protecting him, keeping him here. He got busted for shoplifting a couple of years ago in Chicago at Macy's. So he's an illegal alien who should have been deported, arrested for shoplifting. He didn't show up at his hearing, just blew it off. They had a detainer for his deportation, and Democrats ignored it. Democrats protected him and kept him here. Why? Is he contributing to society? Is he supporting his family? Is he working on a farm or working on a construction site? No, of course not. He probably had all the benefit, had the full Zarniev, had all the benefits of being an illegal alien in this country. And how does he repay us? Shooting an innocent American in the head, just killing her. Why? Who knows? Here's why. Look at the face on the screen if you're watching along. Look at this monster. Look at the eyes. Dead eyes, doll's eyes. Look at that. He's friggin' evil. Donald Trump has been right about a lot of things, but he was never so right as when he said they're sending the worst criminals, murderers, mental patients. That's what they did. They sent them to our borders knowing Joe Biden will let them in, knowing they would cause this kind of carnage in our country. And this is the result. This poor kid, this poor kid, just how she was probably laughing. She was probably giggling. She was probably marveling at the stars and the view and the lake, walking along the lakefront, just out enjoying her life, trying to live her life. And she's dead. And she didn't have to die. He didn't have to be here. He was brought here to vote. He was brought here to someday, hopefully, vote. That is so sickening and so cynical, and we should all be outraged, but we're not. No, we're not. I don't think anybody on CNN's outraged. I don't think Morning Joe is outraged or Margaret Brennan. They're not. The View today, They won't be outraged. You know, they love women. They protect women. Oh, not this woman. Not this woman. She's inconvenient. If you think it's infuriating at this point, if you're as pissed as I am, get ready. We've played a lot of clips from just soulless Democrats who don't give a damn about illegal aliens committing crimes in this country. I've never heard one as infuriating as this. I sat there and watched this 2 or 3 times. I cannot believe there are people like this. This is a alderman in Chicago named Maria Hayden, a hard left Democrat. And she's sitting in her car. I assume, I don't know, she went out for a latte, or maybe she went to yoga, or maybe she's just, out making a run for groceries. And she said, oh, someone in my city got murdered? Oh, that's too bad. I should make a statement. My staff could post it, and I'll look like I'm concerned, like I care. I've never seen anyone who cares less. A young woman is murdered, and this monster, who's an elected official in Chicago, couldn't give a shit less if she tried. This is so frustrating. This is so maddening. Listen to this just vile, soulless, cruel, callous woman talk about the murder of Sheridan Gorman in her own city. Check it out.
All the time, right? And they go out on the pier, they walk around. So the kids were out doing normal things people do in the neighborhood. And it sounds like this might have been a wrong place, wrong time, running into a person who had a gun. They might have startled this person at the end of the pier unintentionally. But that's.
I got to relax. I'm coming off a little cold, so I'm struggling here. I don't want to lose it. I don't. She just said, wrong place, wrong time. She's talking about an American college student who took a walk in an American city and was murdered by an illegal alien criminal.
She startled the guy with the gun, so he shot her.
She startled him. You know what? It's the exact opposite. I don't even want to indulge that. First of all, this woman has no compassion. She has no empathy. She has no soul. This is a dark-hearted, cold, callous monster. Maria Hayden. Maria Hayden is her name. She should not see a moment's peace. She takes a minute while she's doing her errands and says, you know what? It happens. Wrong place, wrong time. How can an American who's murdered in an American city be accused of being in the wrong place? She's in the wrong place, not him, not Medina. Sheridan Gorman is in the wrong place, taking a walk with her friends, and she startled him. That is literally blaming her for the murder for being shot in the head. She startled an illegal alien criminal who had a gun, who was wearing a mask, looking to rob somebody, and he shoots this poor kid in the head. And look at her, she's smiling. This vile creature, this monster, this disgusting, sad excuse for a human being says wrong place, wrong time. God, that is just sickening. I didn't see that on CNN this morning. I didn't see that on MSNBC or NBC or ABC. Here's the total. CBS and NBC combined in the last 5 days have devoted 55 seconds to this story. Again, it was an illegal alien. So their job, as always, is to protect the illegal, to just not care less about the American. To protect the illegal, because that means you're protecting Democrats. That means you're not helping Trump. That's the way they look at it. If this was an American who killed an illegal, they'd spend more than 55 seconds on it. I can promise you that. But they don't care about Sheridan Gorman, because to cover her murder would be to incriminate Democrats and Biden and Pritzker And they will never do that. God, I can't even. So it took J.B. Pritzker 4 days. He was pressured, didn't mention Sheridan Gorman, didn't say her name for 4 days. Finally, he posted on social media. His team said, "Oh, they're demanding we put something out there." So we put something out. Do we have a Pritzker's statement? Again, this is a man who spent all his days and nights fighting ICE, protecting people like Medina, doing everything he could to keep him in Chicago, where he then murdered a young college student. That was his job. That was his focus on everything, protecting, stopping ICE, stopping Trump, keeping illegals in his community. So an illegal kills an American, and he says nothing. He ignores it. I'll get the statement. That's the approach for all Democrats. They don't care. They don't have an ounce of empathy, sympathy. They don't look at that. The murder of an 18-year-old kid by some monster who shouldn't be here. They don't care. That means nothing to them. They're just so. Do we have Pritzker's statement?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
Pull it up. This, again, is after days of people outraged on social media, demanding justice, demanding. Here he is, J.B. Pritzker, who is now slimming down. He's got this fat shot. He's slimming down, getting ready to run for president. Sheridan Gorman's murder is a tragedy, and the person responsible must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. My deepest condolences to the family, friends, and Loyola University community grieving this devastating loss. May her memory be a blessing. Gee, could you be more just careless about it? No mention that he's an illegal alien. No mention that there was a deportation order. No mention that he committed a crime and you kept him in your city. By the way, you know what else he doesn't mention? Turning him over to ICE now. He murdered someone, and J.B. Pritzker will not answer the question, will you turn him over to be deported? No. That's how deep their commitment is to illegal alien criminals. It is just sickening. By the way, you want to know where this murder happened? On the lakefront in Chicago? Well, here's a video of the general vicinity. This is J.B. Pritzker before he got the fat shot, out pretending to exercise, walking along the lake in Chicago, telling you how safe it is. Lots of people were saying Chicago's a war zone. Crime is out of control. So he posted this video in response to tell you it's perfectly safe. Come on down. Watch this.
Well, here I am on the path on the lakefront at 6 a.m. on a Monday. And we got a lot of people running, having a great time. It doesn't feel like a hellhole here. In fact, everybody's having a great time and enjoying themselves. So I don't know who in Washington thinks that Chicago is some sort of hellhole, but you may need to look inward.
Yeah, we should look inward. Not a hellhole. No, don't. Come on down. Take a walk. That's what she did, JB. She took a walk along the lakefront, and you killed her. You killed her. You killed her because you brought Jose Medina into this country, and you kept him here. You kept him here after he committed a crime. By the way, not only is this guy a murderer, a criminal, an illegal alien monster, he also is not, he's also ill. He was supposed to be in court yesterday. This is incredible. This is from the CBS Chicago affiliate. The man charged in the murder of Loyola student Sheridan Gorman missed his first court appearance on Monday because he was treated for tuberculosis. Jose Medina, 25, is charged with one felony count of first-degree murder, one felony count of attempted first, 3 felony counts of aggravated discharge of a firearm and 1 count of aggravated unlawful possession of a weapon. He was scheduled for a detention hearing Monday, but Cook County prosecutor said he was unable to appear because he was hospitalized where he's in Illinois Masonic Medical Center, where he's being treated for tuberculosis. So we have a diseased, murdering, shoplifting, illegal alien criminal. And you know how many Democrats want him deported? None. Zero. None. None. No, you won't hear one Democrat stand up and say, get this piece of garbage out of our country. None. The whole party is just rotten. It really is. When you think about their goal, their objective, their focus, keep them here. That's it. That's it. That's why they do everything. Once you understand that, it all makes sense. The SAVE Act, ICE, the attacks on ICE, the airports shutting down THS. It's all focused on one thing: keeping people like Jose Medina here, keeping them here in the country. That's it. That's all they want to do. That's more important to them than anything, than you name it, the economy or the war, the budget. Nothing matters more to them than keeping people like this here. Joe Biden let in 15 to 20 million people. At least 5 million were military-aged men, single, unaccompanied military-aged men. You take a small percentage of them and say they're gang members, killers, terrorists. They're here. They're here. And Trump said one thing: he's going to get them out, and he's trying. And Democrats are fighting him every step of the way, using every tool at their disposal to keep them here, to allow. And they don't care if Sheridan Gorman loses her life. It's worth it to them because he might vote for them someday. It is just so vile, so frustrating, so sickening. And you watch. You won't hear Democrats even mention her name, say her name. Oh, they'll say Alex Preddy. They'll say Renee Good. They'll say it over and over again. Oh, yeah, they were murdered by ICE. They will say their names repeatedly about they'll just bring it up out of the blue. Renee Good, Alex Preddy. They won't say Sheridan Gorman. Here's Pritzker. Get Pritzker. He traveled to Minneapolis for a candlelight vigil for Renee Good. He paid tribute to her. He posted about her. He talked about her. They all did. She was their martyr. He was their martyr. Alex Preddy. Renee Good tried to run over an ICE agent. We know that. We saw it. Alex Preddy was a maniac. He kicked out the taillight. He obstructed. His whole life was dedicated to protecting people like Jose Medina. That was his life. He didn't even work anymore. He just wanted to stop ICE. Here's Pritzker, this slob, standing with Minnesotans tonight and paying my respects to Alex Preddy and Renee Good, laying flowers at a memorial for these two obstructionists, these two people who dedicated their lives to protecting people like Medina. And the governor lays flowers, attends a vigil, says their name over and over. They matter to him. She doesn't matter. What more do you need to know? This party has no soul. These people have no soul, no humanity, no compassion. Even if it was not your advantage politically, wouldn't this hit you in the heart to see an 18-year-old dead for the crime of taking a walk with her friends? It is just sickening. But it's what they do. It's all they do. Protect illegals. I know when we say this, you think it's an exaggeration. It's simplifying things. But what more do you need to see? Every move they make is devoted to protecting illegals. They are who matters to Democrats. They matter more than Americans. They matter more than 18-year-old college kids. They matter more than you. Illegal aliens are the key to their success. They get them elected, and they hope they will continue to get them elected. We're seeing it, and it's on display for all the world to see. Their focus, their goal is keeping them here. That's why we had those lines at the airport. That's why they are fighting to keep ICE from going to the airport to help alleviate the lines, eliminate the lines. It is so revealing. We will get to the latest of the airports and the latest attempts by Democrats to make you suffer. They don't care if you, an American, have to wait in a 4-hour line. Whatever it takes to protect Jose Medina. That's the new motto of the Democrat Party. Whatever it takes to keep scum like this in your country. We will get to the latest in the airports and the most amazing admission by the slimiest member of the U.S. Senate, Chris Murphy. He says the quiet part out loud. He wasn't supposed to do this, but he did, and explains everything. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
A thoughtfully built wardrobe comes down to pieces that mix well and last. That's where Quince comes in. Premium fabrics, considered design, and everyday essentials that feel effortless to wear and dependable, even as the seasons change. Quince has the everyday essentials I love with quality that lasts. Lightweight cashmere sweaters, short-sleeve Mongolian cashmere polos, linen bottoms and shorts, tees in 100% Pima cotton and European jersey linen. These are the versatile pieces that make a wardrobe actually work season to season. Quince works directly with top factories and cuts out the middleman. You're not paying for brand markup or fancy retail stores, just quality clothing. Their clothing is rated between 4.5 and 5 stars by thousands of people wearing it every day. And they only partner with factories that meet rigorous standards for craftsmanship and ethical production. I love my cashmere polo. I wear it more than I thought I would. It looks good. It feels expensive, but it's actually affordable. I think I'm going to get another one. Right now, go to quince.com/Gerry for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to build your wardrobe and love it. You will. Now available in Canada too. Don't settle for clothes that don't last. Go to Quince, QUINCE.com/Gerry for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gerry. So there have been government shutdowns in the past. We've talked about them. There was a long one last year. But right now, we have a partial government shutdown because Democrats are demanding reforms to ICE. And they're not reasonable. They want warrants, which are impossible. They want them masked off. They want to stop ICE from deporting their supporters, their voters. And they're willing to make you suffer, as we've seen, these massive lines, some places 3, 4, 5 hours long to get on a flight. That is all caused by Democrats. At this point, there's really no disputing it. They will lie and say Trump did it and Republicans control the Congress, but you'd have to be stupid to believe that. You know what's going on. They're demanding ICE reforms. They have no leverage other than to make you suffer. That is the leverage. They know it. They've admitted it, essentially. But here's the thing. We've in the past, there's been some dispute. Generally, Democrats shut down the government and they just let the media do their work, lie to you, tell you it's the Republicans, and they can make some hay. They can perhaps win the PR battle. They can't do it this time. It's just not possible. We know what happened. If you're paying any attention at all, you know this is a sacrifice they're willing to make. Shut down TSA, force you to wait, and hope that you won't remember in November. That's the goal. But it's not working for a couple reasons. First of all, the solution, or at least the way to mitigate this, was to bring in ICE. Trump did that. It was brilliant. Democrats are in a box right now. They don't know what to do. ICE came in and essentially solved the problem in one day. An absolutely brilliant move by Trump. But before I get to the airports and what's going on right now, I went through the other shutdowns and looked in the last 20, 25 years. There's been half a dozen shutdowns. In 95, 96, a 21-day shutdown. It was over the budget. Newt Gingrich and the Congress were fighting with Clinton about reducing the size of government. They shut down the government for 3 weeks. In 2013, it was a fight over Obamacare, a worthwhile fight by Republicans. It lasted 16 days. In 2018, they shut down the government over the border wall funding. Trump wanted $5 billion to build a border wall. Democrats said no. Again, fighting for their most valued, cherished base, illegals. 2025, last fall, they shut down the government. Democrats wanted Medicaid for illegals. Republicans said no. They shut down the government. This time, again, that's 3 shutdowns in a row, all for illegals. This time, they're shutting down the government to stop ICE from deporting illegals. Well, it's not working. As you saw over the weekend, people were missing their flights, showing up at 3 a.m. and still missing their flights because the TSA agents aren't getting paid. And in certain airports, they're calling in sick. It's a strategy to cause this chaos, to cause this pain for travelers, hoping they will blame Trump. They're not doing it. They know better this time. They know Democrats did this, and they did it for illegal aliens, period. That's it. That's the whole story. That's your Democrat Party. Do what it takes, inflict as much pain as possible, and protect illegals. Well, ICE came in and helped TSA, and the lines were gone. It was amazing. And here's the Democrats' strategy here, the response. ICE isn't trained for this. What? Anyone who's been to an airport knows what TSA does. I'm sorry. This is not nuclear physics. This is TSA. Here's the extent of some of the duties of TSA. Okay, come here. You watching? Here it is. Come on. Come through security. Here you go. No, stop. Okay, come here. Okay, no, stop. Okay, wait there. Okay, you can come now. Okay, you're good. Okay, put that in the scanner. Okay, no, yep, good. Come here. Stop. Okay, wait there. See, I could do TSA work.
See, Jerry, you forgot to tell someone to put their hands over their head. You forgot.
Oh, that's right. Put your hands over your head. Okay, wait. No, go. Okay, come. And they're not even manning the scanners. As Tom Homan said, they're not manning the scanners. They're protecting the exits to make sure no one comes in the exits. And they're just providing security. And I guarantee you, even the Democrats who were waiting in line for 4 hours were thrilled to see them. It was amazing. The scenes in the airport, people thanking ICE for just showing up. Most of the TS agents just stand around and wait, and watch and look at you. I'm pretty sure ICE agents could do that. The total hours of training for a TS agent is like 60 hours total. Right now, Democrats are saying, oh no, they're not trained for this. Really, that's your response? Here's a report from CNN, who must have hated airing this, admitting that ICE solved the problem. Go ahead.
Agents there, what have you been seeing them doing?
Yep. Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International. Talking about those ICE agents, you can see a few behind me right there. And then I'm going to walk you this direction, and you can see some more of them gathered over here. This is what they've been doing for the most part today, is doing the patrols around the airport, talking and gathering, not really helping the public in the sense of they're not taking tickets from anybody. They're not interacting with the public we've seen so far. They're not checking anyone's ID at the TSA.
That is problem solved. That is so great. They don't know what to say now. Chuck Schumer said, ICE will make things worse. Then in one day, ICE made things much, much better. The leverage they had, that you would get mad, you'd get frustrated, and you'd blame Trump. It didn't work. Here's Chucky telling you we're all going to die. And then a report admitting it worked. ICE fixed everything. Go ahead.
Everywhere ICE goes, trouble follows. We've seen that. And it is highly likely the airports will be no exception. No one trusts that ICE is going to make things better.
Once again, ICE agents have arrived here in Philadelphia, but I do want to point out this is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad. We're live from PHL. Brianna Gallagher, Channel 6 Action News.
You know what we're learning is it doesn't take that much to be a TSA agent. They show video. Here's ICE. They're just standing around. Well, yeah, they're doing exactly what many of the TSA agents do. Just stand around. They're also, I would guess, they're dissuading certain people from traveling, from going to the airport. They busted one illegal alien in San Francisco. It wasn't even ICE. It was some other federal agent busted an illegal, handcuffed her, took her away, and all a bunch of the travelers were like yelling at them, no ICE. I bet they didn't mind, though, that they had no line. At the same time, they were screaming at ICE. They didn't have to wait in line, did they? Problem solved by ICE, by the heroes, by the great men and women of ICE. But there's something even more revealing here. And Hakeem Jeffries, who's just not as smart as he thinks he is, went on and admitted out loud. There's a couple of clips here from Democrats where they just admit their goal. They admit what they're trying to accomplish here. Hakeem Jeffries explained some of the demands they're making of ICE before they will agree to fund TSA and solve the problem at the airport. Listen to this. I don't think he's supposed to say this, but listen to what he's demanding of ICE, where they don't want ICE to go in search of their favorite people, illegal aliens. This is so revealing. Go ahead.
People. It's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. We want an explicit prohibition that ICE can go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America.
Whoa. All right, Hakeem. Quick question for you, Hakeem. Why? Why would you not want ICE at polling places? Why? Could you explain? What's the problem there? Why? I mean, he pretty much admitted it. He doesn't want them to stop his favorite constituents, illegal aliens, from voting. We knew it was a problem that illegals were voting. We knew they were affecting the census, giving the Democrats seats in the House. But we also suspected there was a fair number voting. I think he just admitted it. They need their votes. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not an exaggeration. They are in panic mode right now, Democrats. They are in panic mode because this vital voting bloc is going to be stopped from voting. And here's what they're going to do to assure they're staying here. Everything. They're going to shut down the government. They're going to try to stop ICE. They're going to do everything. They're going to sacrifice the lives of people like Sheridan, Gorman. Whatever it takes to keep them here, to stop ICE from going to polling places. Well, I'll admit, I want ICE in all those places. There should be no sanctuary for illegal aliens. They shouldn't be able to hide in hospitals. Have you been in an emergency room? In blue cities, they're full of illegal aliens. That's where ICE belongs. They should go where the criminals are. But polling places, if you're If illegals aren't voting, why would you care if they're in polling places? They can't help themselves. They are admitting, get me Catherine Clark. And Keisha forgot this. This was the last shutdown in the fall when they shut down the government to make sure illegals could get Medicaid. Here's the second most powerful person in the House, the minority whip, Catherine Clark of Massachusetts, admitting to Fox News why they're doing this, why they were shutting down the government. Check this out.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
One of the few leveraged times we have, shutting down the government. They admitted it's their leverage. Shut down the government to protect illegals. It explains everything. You want to understand anything that's going on, the SAVE Act, why are they fighting the SAVE Act, even though 83% of Democrats support it? Why are they lying about the SAVE Act and voter ID? Because they want illegals to vote. They want to continue to grow this vital constituency, illegal aliens. Here's Chris Murphy, who is, without a doubt, the sleaziest, scummiest member of the Senate, just an absolute vile human being. He lies about everything. He's the one that said the war was an epic disaster on like the third day when we were, when the military was performing flawlessly, doing everything they set out to do. He went on and said, it's a disaster. He doesn't mind undermining the troops. If it means protecting illegals, that's all that matters to this guy. Here he is on MSNBC, once again, saying the quiet part out loud. Go ahead.
The negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So right. You are right that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe. And it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
There you go. I don't have to say anything else. The people we care most, undocumented Americans, which I don't know what that is. But that's who they're fighting for. That's why they don't want you to show ID when you vote, because it might stop undocumented Americans from voting for them. Again, I knew it was a problem. I knew they wanted illegals to vote. I never knew it was this important, this vital to them, that they would go to any length to assure that illegals continue to vote. That I don't know. Of course, that clip should be everywhere. That should be in every Republican ad. That should be on every cable news show. It won't be, but it should be. The people we care most about, undocumented Americans. Again, the follow-up. I mean, Chris Hayes would never follow that up, but it should be, what exactly is an undocumented American there, Chris? Could you explain? What is that? That's a Democrat, a future Democrat. That is a Democrat voter, an undocumented American. And they will continue to just go on TV, go on podcasts and lie. Just look in the camera and lie about the Save America Act. And I'm glad to see Republicans are fighting hard for this. It is truly unprecedented that an issue that the public supports overwhelmingly, again, every demographic, white and black voters support this in equal numbers. Republicans, it's over 95%. Democrats, it's like 83% support voter ID. Democrats, you know what the percentage who support it? Zero. I mean, elected Democrats, zero, because they know how important it is to them. But I am just marveling at the lies they will tell, at the shamelessness with which they will lie. I'm just going to play one example because this is their guy, Joe Scarborough. I mean, this is the guy that Joe Biden watched every morning. This is where he he got his information, his news. But they're running with this lie that everyone will have to prove they're a citizen if this passes. That is a lie. If you're already registered, you don't have to prove you're a citizen. You just have to bring an ID to vote, like every other Western democracy. Hell, like lots of third world hellholes. Again, you have to prove you're a citizen. You have to have an ID to vote in Somalia, in Yemen, in Syria. You have to prove you're an ID. You have to have an ID just about everywhere, but not here, because Democrats know this will kill. This will kill their hopes in the next election. So Joe Scarborough and his whole panel just lie and say, oh, if you can't find your birth certificate, you can't vote. First of all, even if that were true, I would support it. You should get a birth certificate or a passport or some ID to prove you're a citizen, but it's not true. If you're already registered, you just have to have an ID. That's all. If you're married, you change your name, you just have to have an ID. But they decided as a party to run with this lie, repeat it over and over again, and hopes that dummies who support them will buy it. Here's Joe Scarborough just flat out lying, and his whole panel agreeing, oh yeah, that's awful. Go ahead, play it.
Not only does Mika not know where her original birth certificate is, which under the SAVE Act would get her kicked off the voters' rolls, and then she'd have to come back and re-register, and she would find out on election day that she could not vote.
Okay, that's not true. And you know what? Joe's a dope, but he knows that's not true. He knows he's lying. Everyone on Mika knows he's lying. The whole panel knows he's lying, and they just nod along because it helps them, Democrats, and hurts Trump. That's your mainstream cable news right there, lying on behalf of the Democrat Party. Just so revealing. All right, I got so much to get to. We got to get to the Trump truth post after Robert Mueller, the evil former FBI director, passed away. This upset a lot of people. I have mixed feelings. I'll explain. But Trump did not speak kindly of the dead in true Trump fashion. And Joe Kent went on with Mark Levin. It was a little uneven at best, although he did ask one important question, and he pinned down Joe Kent on one issue, and this is going to matter. I'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me. This fall, you're invited to experience Washington, D.C. in a truly unforgettable way with me, Rob Carson, and other Newsmax listeners. Imagine strolling through our nation's capital as America celebrates 250 years and seeing history come alive with an expert guide. Together, we'll tour the White House Visitor Center, step into the halls of democracy with a guided tour of the U.S. Capitol building, visit Arlington National Cemetery and the changing of the guard, stand in awe before the towering figure of President Abraham Lincoln, and take in the beauty of D.C.'s legendary memorials with a special nighttime illumination tour. Our adventure includes premium hotel accommodations for 4 nights in the heart of D.C., in addition to 6 meals, ground transportation guides, and gratuities. Space is limited, so don't wait. Visit travelwithrob.net to book your D.C. getaway today, or give our friends at Cruise and Tour a call at 800-383-3131. That's 800-383-3131, or travelwithrob.net.
Robert Mueller passed away at 81 the other day, and Donald Trump did not do what most people would do and just gratuitously say, oh, it's a shame, passed away, condolences to his family. Trump did what Trump does. He was himself. This is so Trumpian. You think we'd be used to it by now. But Trump tweets, Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. And that sent Democrats into an uproar, and the media went nuts. They would prefer he lie. All right, that's the bottom line. They would prefer he lie. He hated Mueller for good reason. Mueller tried to put him in prison. Mueller knew on day one of the Mueller investigation that there was no collusion with Trump and Russia. He knew Trump was innocent. And even in his conclusion, after pissing away $32 million on this investigation, even then, he refused to exonerate Trump. He said he couldn't prove he was innocent. He was guilty, but he also couldn't prove he was innocent. It was a bizarre mangling of the law. Just because he hated Trump, he was in on the conspiracy to stop Trump. That's the truth. He tried to put Trump in prison. He tried to put his family in prison. Of course, Trump hated him. So when he dies, is Trump supposed to lie? Now, I don't think he should have done this. And I'll tell you why. Because it gives the Democrats, it gives the media an issue to run with and just ignore the bigger issue. They could ignore, Sheridan, Gorman. They could ignore the Democrat shutdown for at least, a segment or two. They could focus on this and call him heartless and everything else. But if this is how he really feels, and he does, understandably, what do you want him to do? Again, he could just ignore it and focus on other things, but that wouldn't be Trump. This is a man being honest. And are we really going to criticize him for that? Of course he hated Mueller. By the way, he wasn't the only one who hated Mueller. Mueller ruined many lives. Mueller went after many innocent people, and he never paid a price for that. He didn't die in prison. He should have, but he didn't. Here's just one example. When he was FBI director, this is when he was the federal prosecutor in Boston in the 1980s. His office was involved in a major FBI scandal where 4 men were wrongfully imprisoned for decades. 2 of the men died in prison. He knew they were innocent, and he put them away in prison where they died. A couple of them got out after 30 years and sued and won. Mueller did that on purpose. 4 men were convicted in a 1968 trial for the 65 murder of Teddy Deegan. Boston people know this. The conviction was based on perjured testimony from notorious FBI informant and mobster Joseph Barbarossa. The FBI knew the men were innocent, but covered up the truth to protect their informant, Whitey Bulger and Stephen Fleming, who were the actual perpetrators. Mueller served as assistant U.S. attorney in Boston and later acting U.S. attorney. Critics and the victim's family argue that Mueller was aware or should have been aware the FBI covered this up. He knew, everyone knew in that office that they were innocent and they were convicted. 4 men spent 30 years in prison. 2 of them, Louis Greco and Henry Tamalio, died in prison before they were exonerated. So that guy, Trump's supposed to lay flowers for that guy? He's supposed to lie and tell you, oh, he was a great public servant. That's what Obama did and Bush did. They told you how wonderful Mueller is. Well, he wasn't. He was a bad guy, and he died. And too bad for his family. But Trump told the truth and told you what he was really thinking. And, I understand it. I don't think I'd have done it, but I understand it. All right, before we go, if you haven't heard yet, Joe Kent went on with Mark Levin. That's a good move. That takes some balls. But Mark Levin is not a good interviewer. Mark Levin's a good ranter. He's good at going on rants, angry rants. That's what he does. He had Kent there, and he just kept interrupting. I haven't heard the whole interview. I heard 3 or 4 clips, and he kept stepping on interview, going to break. Let me interrupt you. He didn't let Kent talk, but he did nail down Kent on one thing. He said, are you the leaker? Did you leak? And he said, no. Did you leak classified information? And he said, no. Well, there's an investigation, and if it turns out he did, then Kent was lying last night. Do we have a clip where he goes, he gets Kent to start explaining himself, and then he cuts him off and goes to break. This was really frustrating.
Do you want me to get the leaker comment or the one from before?
Whatever you got. We'll just go ahead. Let's play this.
And also, as Secretary Rubio said, there was no imminent threat coming from Iran against the Americans.
Well, you know, he corrected that.
There was an imminent threat coming from the Israelis who were going to attack. But that's actually the truth.
Okay, hold on. We're going to do it. We're going to do it honestly, one point at a time.
Had observed, the Iranians had observed an escalation ladder. They hadn't attacked us under President Trump.
Can you do me a favor? And I don't mean to be rude. Can you talk a little more slowly? I'm having trouble hearing.
What?
Take your time. Go ahead.
Sure. When President Trump came into office, the Iranians knew that President Trump wanted to get a deal. They observed the escalatory ladder very carefully. They stopped having our proxies attack us like they were attacking us under the Biden administration. And they got to the negotiating table with us about the nuclear agenda. When the 12-day war kicked off and the Israelis started that, the Iranians still didn't attack us.
All right. We have to take a break. I'm going to circle back on some of your comments here, and then I have some other questions. I appreciate you being here. We'll be right back with Joe Kent.
Can you talk more slowly? What is that? He wasn't talking too fast. But again, I don't think Mark's a good interviewer. He's good host, does a good job, but that wasn't a good performance. And he did one thing again, pinned him down on the leaking, which we'll find out the truth. See, I think Kent's problem, two things. He didn't have to quit. He's in charge of terrorism. Terrorism is here in the homeland now. He's supposed to be fighting, stopping that. It wasn't his business what Trump decided to do in Iran. He wasn't, the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He wasn't Hegseth. He was in charge of counterterrorism. He didn't have to quit. He quit and he shivved Trump in the back. Secondly, I think he spent too much time with Tucker and Candace and others who blame Israel for everything. And he got indoctrinated by them. And I think it's pretty revealing that he spent time with them. And I think he did indeed leak, but we'll find out. And it's not going to go well for Joe Kent if we find out he did indeed leak and lie about it. But we will see. Trump has been reluctant to go at Joe. He talked about him and he said he was ungrateful for the job and all that. But I think it's going to get worse for Joe Kent before it gets better. But we will see. We will leave it there for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Everywhere ICE goes, trouble follows. We've seen that. And it is highly likely the airports will be no exception. No one trusts that ICE is going to make things better.
Once again, ICE agents have arrived here in Philadelphia, but I do want to point out, this is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad. We're live.